Did you know that 3.7 million new videos are uploaded to YouTube every day? That is a lot of oranges to sort through to get through the rotten ones to find the perfectly juicy ripe ones. In other words, you could be wasting time watching YouTube videos that are full of lies. Wouldn't you prefer to be watching videos that really benefit you? Watching videos like this one with scientific, evidence-based advice that will help you along your running and menopause journey. I'm here to tell you the truth. Let's start with some of the lies you might have heard about menopause and running. One of the biggest lies is that the effects that menopause is having on your running is just something you have to deal with. Surprise, surprise. People are saying that hormones are the only form of treatment and that you have to readjust your expectations of exercise in life, but that's simply not true. I'm not denying that menopause hormonal therapy is not useful. It definitely can be very, very helpful for some menopausal runners. But the use of other things that are perhaps a little bit more in our control can also be extremely beneficial to some of your menopausal symptoms. The first of these is strength training. We can use this for some of our menopausal symptoms, and we can also utilize things like nutrition, as well as adjusting the way we run to make our running feel so much better. And I'm going to touch on all of these in this video. Menopause, of course, is a significant change, but it is not the end of your running career and your active lifestyle. And then there are fad diets and tons of misleading advice that we've all encountered, from things like keto diets to intermittent fasting to people even suggesting that you completely remove carbohydrates from your diet because it is the root of all weight gain. Spoiler alert, they are not. Then there are promises of detox diets where you drink nothing but juices for days on end, or the promises of the paleo diet advocating for a return to our ancestors' ways. And let's not forget about the low-carb, high-fat diet that once dominated the scene, or the grapefruit diet or the cabbage soup diet that had amazing promises of rapid weight loss with little else. These diets promise quick fixes and drastic results, but they rarely address the complex needs of women going through menopause. These diets do more harm than good. Carbs are not the devil. In fact, they are crucial for our running and our overall health. So let's get on with it. What haven't you been told enough about when it comes to menopause and running? And by that, I mean the truth. Well, for starters, you have not heard about the importance of nutrition and strength training for your running. Improving your running through better sleep habits and understanding how strength training can help you manage your weight over this time is crucial. It's not just about eating less and running more. It's about learning how to fuel your body correctly and improving your strength. And I'll dive into exactly how you can do that just now. But first, it takes dedication. Each case is unique and it might require a combination of nutrition, strength, recovery, sleep, and different forms of exercise, along with potentially some menopausal hormonal therapy. Anyone selling you a magic bullet or a single solution exercise that is going to solve all your problems is misleading you. It takes constant effort and discipline. To start off, let's talk about menopause itself. As you know, you're experiencing drastic changes that are affecting your daily life and your running. You may be experiencing symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, weight gain. All of these are going to have a negative effect on your running. Along with that, from a health perspective, you are also going to be experiencing a loss of bone mineral density and bone health, as well as a loss of lean muscle mass over time. Aside from that, it can affect your energy levels as well as your mood. And so managing these symptoms becomes absolutely crucial when we're talking about our running performance. Nutrition plays a key role for the menopausal runner. Aside from managing your weight during this phase, it is absolutely pivotal when it comes to your running. We want to ensure that we are fueling our running, that we are giving the body the energy that it needs in order to do the exercise that you're asking it to do. We also want to use our nutrition to manage our energy levels throughout the day. So if you're not doing that, if you are restricting your diet automatically, you are already putting yourself at a disadvantage from an energy level perspective and a fatigue perspective. Add on top of that then that you're not fueling your running, you are just constantly going to be finding yourself in a depleted state, and you're going to get more and more fatigued and have lower and lower energy levels throughout the day. As we are experiencing losses towards our lean muscle mass over time, we want to use aspects of nutrition to help counteract that. And by incorporating things like protein to help build that muscle mass over time. And lastly, but perhaps more importantly, nutrition plays a vital role in your recovery. By utilizing nutrition after your training sessions, you are going to replenish the energy that you used, and it's going to help with your muscles getting stronger again. And we remember that we get all our benefits from our exercise during recovery. So utilize that nutrition to really, really help you. Strength training is vital to maintain muscle mass and bone density. I'm sure you are feeling this, that everything in life is just becoming a little bit harder. So not even just getting slower in your running, just generally performing daily activities is getting a little bit harder and harder. That is because you are losing lean muscle mass. Your ability to perform activities goes down and down because of this loss of muscle mass. This is pretty linear from our 30 or during our 30s and our 40s and becomes quite exponential from 50 onwards. And so if we do not have that muscle mass to perform those activities, we're essentially asking our body to do the same amount of work with less workers. And so we can utilize strength training to combat this. The studies and the literature is very, very clear that if you are doing 3 strength sessions a week, you are able to stop that decline in lean muscle mass, but not only to delay that decline, but to actually reverse it, meaning you can actually become stronger than you were in your 30s and 40s. So this is something that is completely within our control to help manage some of our menopausal symptoms of losing muscle mass, and then secondly, to helping our bone density. In all honesty, strength training becomes the non-negotiable for your running during menopause. Good sleep hygiene and potentially hormonal therapy can also help with symptom management. Night sweats, insomnia, hot flashes all affect your ability to be at your best, both in life and in your running. You could be experiencing increases in daytime fatigue, in training fatigue, or even just affecting your desire to get out there and train. Menopause hormonal therapy has been shown to be very effective in managing some of these symptoms. But it's not a blanket approach for every single female. So be sure to speak to your physician to see if you are a candidate for this. But there are things that we can control. So whether you're on menopause hormonal therapy or not, this is something that you can do in your everyday life to perhaps help with some of these symptoms. I call it sleep hygiene. It's about doing things and getting into a good routine before your sleep to try and help get the best out of your sleep. So first things first, ensure that your room is nice and cool. The optimal temperature for sleep is 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit, and we want to keep that room really nice and cool. It'll help with those night sweats over time. You also want to ensure that your room is really, really dark. So if you can have blackout curtains, that would be ideal. If you can't, I highly recommend getting an eye mask. They make amazing ones these days that are really not squishing on the eyes, which is super comfortable for sleep. Aside from the lights in the room, you really don't want to have artificial light. So we want to stay away from laptops, TVs, cell phones, all sorts of devices. That blue light affects our melatonin and as a result will affect your natural sleep cycle. So if you do have a television in the room, make sure that you're also covering the small little lights on there because that does affect our sleep. Our eyelids are thin membranes and that still goes through the optic nerve into the brain, keeping the brain active at night. And lastly, the use of earplugs can be extremely effective for those snoring partners and pets. Something we get asked about very often in our forum is managing your weight during this menopause transition. And as I mentioned earlier, strength training has multiple benefits for muscle mass and bone health, but it becomes very, very pertinent when it comes to managing your weight. The concept of managing your weight during menopause is an extremely complicated concept, and we've covered this in a lot more detail in another one of our videos. But essentially what we're looking to do is manage our calories in and our calories out. And in order to get to managing your weight or losing weight, you have to find yourself in a calorie deficit. Now, I say calories in and calories out is much more complicated than that. It's got to do with a couple of physiological functions. The first one of those is your basal metabolic rate. The amount of energy that you're using just to sit here and watch this video is burning up calories. That we call our basal metabolic rate. The second concept is thermic effect of digesting your food, the amount of energy or calories your body uses to digest the food that you're eating. We then also take into account your activity. So conscious activity, your exercise, your running, your strength training, all of the things that you actually go out and perform an activity with that in mind. And then the other aspect is unconscious activity. So when you're walking around the house, when you're walking to go fetch the kids from school, when you're walking to the car, all of those things add up. And so that becomes the equation that we're looking at to how to manage our weight during this time. Utilizing strength training will help, and by getting stronger and building lean muscle mass will help with our basal metabolic rate. It increases that basal metabolic rate. So sitting at rest, you will then have a higher basal metabolic rate, i.e. be using more calories, because that basal metabolic rate has gone up. The reason for that is because muscles utilize fuel, whereas other aspects within the body, perhaps fat, doesn't utilize fuel at all. So by increasing muscle mass, we increase our basal metabolic rate, which allows us to essentially then burn more energy throughout the day. So while we're using strength to increase our basal metabolic rate, we're utilizing nutrition to ensure that that's how we are balancing that equation to manage our weight. We want to eat whole foods, try and stay away from processed foods as much as possible. We don't want to restrict our diets, and we want to make sure that we are eating timeously in and around our training sessions to fuel our training sessions and to recover from those. Often, it's not just about what you eat, how you exercise, and when. Don't expect instant results. It's about the small improvements over a long period of time. I like to think of these as a part of my Running Through Menopause training framework. Strength, intensity, recovery, sleep, and nutrition. Building strength helps maintain muscle and bone health. Adjusting the intensity of your workouts can help you stay active without overdoing it. Prioritizing sleep and proper recovery ensures that your body can heal and grow stronger. And nutrition fuels all of these efforts. Don't let menopause define you or limit your potential. Save your seat in my free online masterclass for female runners over the age of 45. Discover how you can run better as you get older without training more or harder than you currently are, all while avoiding injury so that you can run well far beyond your 40s, 50s, and 60s.